called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, according to the New York Times. He said Nigerians will never go back to their huts. Haitian immigrants all have AIDS. Your take on before I get on his continued use of derogatory language, right? We're going to get to the overall. Is there any other way to read this comment?
Absolutely not.
Than being a racist comment?
I mean, given the various things you mentioned, and there's a large collection beyond it, it's quite clear that he sees black people as lesser. It's a combination of these things. Now, let's face it, when he calls Haiti and El Salvador and Africa shithole places, a canny person, usually from the right wing, might say, well, he could have said that about a white place like Moldova. Let's imagine. But it doesn't matter because we've listened to this man over the past couple of years, and it's clear that he has what's called a racist bias, and this is the sad thing about it. It's one thing for him to feel that way and to say things like that over, say, Thanksgiving dinner, but to imagine that somebody would feel that way about places like Haiti or Africa that have been through so much, if you're thinking about history rather than the president as if he were some sort of butterfly or amoeba, then even if you're thinking it, you're not going to say it. The lack of control in this person, who considers himself the person with the bigger button, etc., is truly alarming. My younger daughter is going to turn 3 tomorrow. She literally has more forethought than the commander-in-chief, as does my cat, as do several of my forks, knives, and spoons. It's alarming. Yes, he's a racist, but couldn't he hide it? We have a child, a lower mammal, running the United States.
And you're listening, just from listening to his language, you can discern all of that. Because if you look at, put the full screen back up, if you look at all of the things that he said, and I said, you know, is there any other way for that comment yesterday? But those are the words, and your book is called what? Words on the Move?
One of them is, yeah.
Those are the words. And if you read those words, what does it say to you?
Well, frankly, the words that we're talking about say that this is somebody who thinks that white people are better than other people. It's not just one statement. All of the canny sorts of things that his supporters are going to say about how you might possibly interpret the things that he said yesterday don't matter, because it's at the point where we have an aggregation of insights from this man. And what alarms me even more than his lack of basic forethought is the historical ignorance. And so, for example, let's say that you think that black people are lesser, and let's say that you're also going to talk about it in public. One thing that might hold you back from that is knowing about the history. And so, for example, Haiti and Africa, they have had many problems. Haiti had a little thing called an earthquake, for example. Immigration. So why are we taking all these people from whatever? Well, immigration is what America is based on, and generally when people immigrate, it's because where they came from had some problems. His grandfather came from the Palatinate in Germany. I assume that he didn't like being in the Palatinate. From what I've heard, nobody goes there as a tourist now. Or, another example, you're an immigrant country, because when people come here, there's an argument that maybe the United States has done some things in the past that we're not crazy about. That doesn't make me not a patriot. Done some things that we're not crazy about. And so there's an idea that maybe there's a certain reparation that we bring Haitians here because of certain things that the United States did in Haiti, particularly in the early 20th century. I guess this man hasn't read any of the briefing papers about that. Or there's an argument about Africa and how Europe and the United States had certain effects there. These things are debated, but one expects that the commander-in-chief would at least know that there had been a debate. And nevertheless, what he has to say is that all of these places are shitholes, and why in the world are we taking people from them? This is a leader. This is a large person.
This is, that's what limited knowledge does.
Yes.
No, seriously. If you don't know those things, then you can come to some sort of fast conclusion that, well, yeah, he's right, those countries are that way. But why do you think they are that way? Have you ever thought about that? And that's what research, reading, history, instead of sitting in front of the television and getting your news from one single source, or reading only, or listening to the radio from one single source. And he's supposed to reflect. He's supposed to think he's so super dumb as a box of hair. Don, you know what? This is what I think. As of that comment yesterday, we must bond this country. And in 2020, we must make it
so that this racist, yes he is, dim-witted, mean-spirited troglodyte goes back to the shithole life that he was leading before. This will not do.
Wow, okay, your words. Listen, I have to say that the president does acknowledge tough language. He's acknowledging that he swore. But as the reaction has poured into these comments, have you been struck by people who aren't really upset by the obscenity and the underlying message? It is so dark against the ideals against the country, which this country was built on.
Well, you know, I haven't been struck because I know that for many of these people it's an issue of priority. And so as long as Trump is going to bring America back to this wonderful thing that it supposedly was, as long as he's going to keep certain immigrants out, he's going to build a wall, and he's going to give poor white people jobs in Ohio, as long as all that is in there, then anything that he says is just kind of impolite. I understand that issue of priority, but frankly, those people are wrong. We have a responsibility in this world. Humanity does progress, and I'm afraid that this person goes against anything that we would call progress. This person shouldn't be president, and his defenders are looking weaker by the day in their sense that anything that he does in terms of impoliteness and stupidity and nastiness and even possibly blowing this planet up is okay because he wants to bring an America back that most of them never lived in and know nothing about.
John McWhorter, thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Appreciate it. When we come back, many Republicans still haven't spoken out about the president's shithole country's remark. Why aren't they all condemning the comments? Well, don't they have a responsibility as representatives of a country of immigrants to speak out? We'll talk about that.